Hello, and welcome to this special series on the roles and opportunities for pharmacists in diabetes care. I'm your host, Kirsten Yield, the research manager at the Association of Diabetes Care and Education Specialists. Pharmacists can play a key role in helping to care for and educate people with diabetes, yet many don't feel comfortable in this position or don't know how expensive it can actually be. Joining us today is Jerry Meece, a longtime pharmacist and diabetes care and education specialist out of Texas. Jerry is well known in the diabetes world, serving in many national roles, and is a frequent speaker. He is a longtime proponent of pharmacists becoming involved in diabetes care, and we're excited to talk more with him about some key diabetes topics as they relate to pharmacists. Jerry, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me, Kirsten.
Well, we are so pleased you're here, especially since insulin affordability is probably one of the hottest topics diabetes care and education specialists are dealing with right now. And I know pharmacists are really on the front line. Can you talk a little bit more about this?
Yeah, insulin has become almost prohibitively expensive in some cases. We see it on a regular basis here at Plaza, even with all the programs that are out there right now. People walk in and at some point say, I just can't afford my insulin anymore. What am I going to do? And we have to address that because insulin, in many cases, is the only thing that works. There's over 7 million people in the United States right now that rely on insulin. But with that being said, insulin has jumped in the last 15 to 18 years, anywhere from 350 to 1200%, depending on the insulin. So how do we address that? Well, people that come in and as we talk to them and consult with them, we find out that probably one in every four person at some point says they're cutting back on insulin to save money. The biggest problem is 25% of that group is cutting back, but they're not telling anybody. So, what can we do? Even with all the copays out there, we need to address it. So, we talk to them and we say, does this medication still fit within your budget? We never ask, can you afford this? This is where our diabetes educator, education works out for us. Is asking this in the right way. So, pharmacists are really positioned very favorably to jump in at this point and say, does this medication regimen work for you from an economic standpoint right now?
So one in four people is super scary, and especially when you start talking about those numbers with the that bottom range of 350% is I mean, it's downright scary. So, and again, like you just talked about, pharmacists are on the front line. They're the ones that the people are really talking to. So, I guess I would ask you, what can pharmacists do to help people with diabetes save money on insulin?
This is where our training comes in and staying up to date on the newest programs out there. Part of what we can do is help people with shared decision making, help them come up with options. For example, the manufacturers out there right now are very aware of the increase in cost and what's going on. So they develop programs. They have patient assistance programs that work from the standpoint of income. And what's really surprising is some of the income levels that people said, well, I'm not poor, therefore I, won't qualify. Some of the income levels are, fairly high. The major manufacturers of insulin right now, they have authorized generics. So Lilly may have Humalog as their brand name, but they have an authorized generic named Insulin Lispro. Novo does the same thing with their Novolog. So we can go to authorized generic versions and save money, but we have to be aware of what's out there. We can also do things like considering the older versions of insulin. NPH and regular still work. Maybe not as specific, they're not as exquisite as our newer insulins, but they are much less expensive in many cases. And we can still get people and direct them to these insulins and start working with them from there. Manufacturers have discount cards. Lilly, Novo, Nordisk, Sanofi, Aventis, Mankind all have copay cards, patient assistance programs. And the biggest problem that we have out there is it takes time to navigate them. And this is where I would point our viewers to one specific site. ADCES, under their practice tools, has two great pages. One is Insulin Cost Savings Resource Guide, and the other is the non-insulin diabetes medication cost savings guide. Those two If you go to diabeteseducator.org/affordability, you've got two great resources there that go all the way down this list. There is a plethora of cost savings resources on those two pages. So that's where I would point people. It's just a matter of making people aware and not leaving money on the table or insulin in the back of the pharmacy instead of out there where people can use it.
Yeah, I reference those pages all the time. Like you said, they are super
Yeah.
useful. And, you know, generics and discount cards, you're absolutely right. And it is all listed there. So hopefully people, you know, do visit and use them. So, Jerry, with these ideas, been so helpful. And I'm sure people are going to use them. We've given them resources. Any final thoughts as we leave?
If I could put one last nugget in, this takes time. We have a saying around Plaza that we tell everybody that walks in, and it's BYOA, be your own advocate. Jump in there and get people to be a part of your team. You can share this information with them, but I always tell people that 95% of the success of managing your diabetes is up to you. And no more is it true than right here. Point them toward these resources, be the guide on the side, show them where to look, but have them do the research. And then you can share all this information, but let them bring it back to you. They need to be part of your diabetes team.
I love that. Thanks so much.
All right. Thank you very much.